Hello everybody, this is Paige from Mosaic Moments, and this is my second design breakdown video. Today I have one layout, and hopefully you saw my previous video with the X Factor dies. So in general, these videos are probably going to be fairly short, but please let me know in the comments if you would still like to see these videos after you watch this one. So in the design breakdown videos, I'm going to be breaking down and talking about what is working for the layout. And all these layouts, they're very different, and there's a lot of things to learn from each one. So this layout has the side-by-side die, one of them from that pack, and the 4x6 X Factor, and everything else is, well, actually in the four corners we have rectangles made with the basic die bundle, and then these strips were hand cut because we do not have any dies that are that long. So let's talk about what is working. Well, one thing is the theme. These photos were taken in the fall times, so for a fall page it would be appropriate to choose fall photos and not really use something like springy photos. There are some exceptions to that, but that's one of the things that works. It helps tell the story of fall and matches the photographs. But we also need to talk about things like the colors here. So I have a brown paper. This one is called Walking Path. It's from our Renaissance Revival collection. And as you can see, the die cuts, at least these side-by-side and X Factor, were cut with a green paper. And why did I choose green? Well, it's not the most contrasting in the sense of it certainly isn't way darker or way lighter than the brown, but it still stands out because it is a little bit lighter. It's just light enough that you can really see the lines from these dies. What's also working is the photo I chose. You see this diamond shape? So that could have been a pattern paper as well, but it adds something interesting to add a photo. I gotta say, I love pattern paper, and this one has a lot of pattern paper as well. But eye-catching pages every time, I would tell you the number one tip for our best pages, the ones that probably stand out to you most, it's probably because it used a photo like this. Taking these detailed photos go a long way. And the truth is, you may not always use them. I don't always use them, but a lot of times I certainly do, especially when I'm making an adventure level layout. They come in handy. So again, I could have put pattern paper here, but the photo adds something more interesting. It's intriguing, it's unique, and I think that's what draws people to our pages, is that there is something more interesting going on than just a common pattern paper or embellishments. So that's something to keep in mind, that these little photos go a long way. I also have these with photos. I don't think it gives as big of an impression, but it is a nice contrast with that yellow. Something else that's working for this layout is the pattern paper. And of course, we all have different tastes in pattern paper, but I do think in this case, it really helped the layout. So I did want to make this particular pattern paper into strips because there is a lot going on. I mean, there's this little frog, there's little mushrooms, there's flowers, and it's not the type of pattern paper where the pattern's repeating everywhere. So I liked having this broken up, and it shows more of what's going on. It also is very fitting with the overall layout theme and the mood. I also have another pattern paper in these areas, this orange with leaves. It's a very nice pattern paper. It's not overly busy. So if you have a pattern paper like this where there's a lot going on, you definitely want to contrast that. If you're going to use a second pattern paper, you want to choose one that's not as busy. Many of you buy a pattern paper pack. If there's one with a lot of things going on, grab a pattern paper that is way less overwhelming, something like with dots or stripes, or even if that's too busy, maybe they have one that's close to a solid color. So make sure you match up, if you have two pattern papers, that one of them, if it's particularly busy, to match it with one that is far less busy and a lot more simple. So that's also what's working here. We also want to pay attention to the details. So in this case, behind here I actually have the same pattern paper as this, but you only see a little bit of the plants over here, and for the most part you're just seeing the cream. And then I repeated the cream color in these triangles, and I was able to highlight this diamond right here. So pay attention when you're filling in the die cuts to see, what shapes are you showing? Is it very obvious? And maybe you don't want it to be obvious, but that is part of the reason why this page wows, especially since this is very contrasting against the photo next to it. This is a very plain paper, and it might seem very plain and boring, but when you put it next to a photo and there's other things going on, it will not seem very plain at all. So a lot of contrast going on in here, a lot of fun stuff. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about this layout. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below some things that you find appealing about this layout, and let me know if you want to see more of my design breakdown videos. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.